You're not cursed, you're unaware. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. You come to me and ask, why do these patterns keep happening in my life? You think you are cursed, you believe you are unlucky, you assume that life is punishing you, but you are wrong. You are not cursed, you are simply unaware. The most dangerous thing in your life is not bad luck, it is your unconscious mind and the parts of it that you have refused to face. You are not suffering because the world is unfair. You are suffering because something in you keeps returning to the familiar, even when it hurts. You mistake the comfort of repetition for the illusion of safety. You confuse chaos with chemistry. You think pain is your destiny. No, it is your cycle. You are repeating what you have not yet understood. In today's world, everyone wants to heal, but no one wants to confront. You know your symptoms, but not your story. You label your behaviors, but you do not trace them. You seek validation, but not transformation. I do not care how well you describe your anxiety if you never sit with the part of you that created it. I do not care how many books you read if you're too afraid to examine your childhood, your resentment, your guilt, your desire to be wanted at any cost. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. So, if you truly want to change, you must stop asking, why does this happen to me? And begin asking, what inside me is allowing it? Because the shadow does not punish you. It only reflects you. It shows you the truth over and over until you finally have the courage to look it in the face. The part of you that you're afraid to meet. You were taught to behave, to smile, to be good. From childhood you were trained not to understand yourself, but to present yourself, and anything that didn't fit into the vision of yourself that others would accept, you buried. You buried that part of you is what I call the shadow. The shadow is everything within you that you do not wish to be, and so you pretend it does not exist. It includes your jealousy, your rage, your lust, your manipulations, your fear, your need to control, your hunger to dominate, your shame. But it also includes the parts of you that were powerful, but scared people. Your brilliance, your ambition, your ability to say no, your refusal to be controlled. But you repressed these parts, not because they were evil, but because someone made you believe that they were unacceptable. And here is the problem. What you refuse to face does not disappear. It becomes unconscious, and what is unconscious becomes dangerous. This is why people lie without knowing they're lying. This is why they cheat and sabotage and destroy the very things they claim to love. It is the shadow, rising in moments of weakness, stress, or silence, taking control of the steering wheel from beneath the floorboards. The shadow is not necessarily evil, it simply wants to live. So you can either suppress it and let it rule your life from the dark, or you can turn toward it and begin the work of integration. You will never be whole until you can stop hiding from yourself. You will never be free until you stop fearing your own depth. You tell me you're tired of meeting the same kind of people, tired of feeling the same pain, tired of ending up in the same situations over and over again. But let me ask you something you may not have considered. What if the pattern is not a coincidence, but a message? What if what keeps happening to you is actually coming from you? I do not say this to blame you, I say this to awaken you. The human psyche is not random, it is intelligent, and it repeats what is unresolved. If you felt invisible as a child, you will seek people who overlook you. If love once felt like control, you will confuse stability with boredom. If rejection was your first mirror, you will chase those who refuse to see you. Why? Because the shadow wants resolution. It doesn't care how long it takes. Nothing has a stronger influence psychologically on the environment, and especially on the children, than the unlived life of the parent. And yet many people are not living their own lives. They are living out inherited wounds. They are echoing their childhood, not escaping it. You say, I don't know why I keep choosing the wrong people. But the truth is, you are choosing what feels familiar, and familiar does not mean healthy, it just means practiced. Until you bring your shadow into the light, you will keep calling dysfunction destiny. You will keep mistaking emotional hunger for love. You will keep repeating roles you never agreed to play. But awareness changes everything. Once you see the pattern, you are no longer trapped in it. You are standing outside of it. This is the beginning of healing. Not when you say you want to change, when you finally understand what has been happening beneath your decisions. Triggers are clues, not threats. In your world today, the word triggered has become something to mock, a sign of weakness, sensitivity, or instability. But I must tell you that is a misunderstanding. A trigger is not a flaw. It is a flashlight. It is your unconscious saying, there is something here you have not healed. When something small causes a large reaction to you, it is not about the event. It is about the wound underneath it. If someone ignoring you makes you spiral, the real pain is not from them, it is from years of invisibility. If someone criticizing you makes you feel worthless, the voice you're hearing is not theirs, it is your father's, your teacher's, your own. If a friend's success fills you with bitterness, it is not because they are ahead, it is because some part of you still feels behind, forgotten, or unseen. Your emotional reactions are not random. They are messengers. And yet most people don't listen. They suppress. They say, that shouldn't bother me. It's not a big deal. I'll get over it. But the psyche does not forget. What is not processed will be repeated, louder and louder, until it is faced. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. So the next time you are triggered, stop. Don't judge yourself. Don't silence the feeling. Instead ask, what is this trying to show me? Where have I felt this before? What memory does this remind me of? This is not weakness. This is inner investigation. This is how self-awareness begins. You cannot master yourself without studying your reactions. What you hate in others is what you hide in yourself. It is easy to judge. It is easy to point at others and say, she's fake. He's arrogant, they're selfish, but I want you to pause and ask something much harder. Why did that bother me? Why that word? Why that behavior? That person? Because here is the truth. Everything that irritates us about others can lead back to an understanding of ourselves. This is not a poetic idea. It is a psychological law. When you have disowned a part of yourself, you will begin to see it everywhere, in other people. This is what I call projection. You cast your shadow outward. You deny your own ego and become obsessed with spotting narcissists. You suppress your own ambition and label the driven as too much. You bury your own selfishness and see manipulation in everyone else. You silence your sensuality and feel disgusted by anyone who is free. You think you are reading others clearly, but you are only reading the parts of yourself you refuse to acknowledge. Projection is not about hate. It also appears in admiration. You idolize those who are confident, magnetic, decisive, because you have not yet owned those traits in yourself. What you love in others is also buried within you, waiting to be claimed. Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darkness of other people. So I urge you, next time you feel deep resistance towards someone, pause. Ask yourself, what do they reflect about me? What part of me have I silenced? Am I judging them or recognizing something that I haven't accepted in myself? This is difficult work. It will feel like swallowing fire. But if you are brave enough to do it, you will stop being controlled by people you barely know and start reclaiming the self you've always known. How to face the shadow and become whole. You cannot outrun the parts of yourself you've disowned. You cannot silence what was never allowed to speak. You cannot heal if you are still hiding from who you are. If you want to become whole, you must stop trying to be good and start becoming honest. Wholeness is not perfection. It is the unity between light and shadow, accepted, understood, and lived.